Welcome to Shardcast, the Brandon Sanderson podcast. We're a bunch of mega fans giving you the news, discussion, and of course, all other pins about Brandon's works and the Cosmere. I'm Eric, and joining me is Ian.
Hey, I'm your writer.
Also joining us is Alyx.
Hey, I'm Feather, still being tortured.
Next up, we have Evgeni.
Hi, I am Argent, and I have opinions.
Great. And also joining us, we have David.
I did change my profile picture to a blue one, so I'm kind of
really weird on Discord. I need people to know that Joff has had a orange profile picture forever. I can't deal with it.
You can't talk because.
Yeah. What if we put that same image and it just in Photoshop we just change it to
turn
look
it
orange? Yeah.
maybe
yeah,
we'll do that.
Hue it. Yeah.
I'm jofwu and or Josh.
jofwu,
not David.
Awesome. So we're doing more Words of Brandon. If you're keeping track, I said last episode that we usually get through 10 pages of WoBs, and we didn't quite get through 7 this time. So we're on pace for 5 WoB episodes.
No.
But at least this time we didn't do 5 minutes of nonsense during the introduction.
That's true. That was a very efficient intro.
Look, so looking at the document, we practically did 7 pages.
Yeah, I know. We got some spicy ones today. So let's go head on over into WoB mode.
So this one is from Questioner. You've said previously that the Oathgates don't obey physical realm speed of light. Do they obey the speed of light in the cognitive realm? Or are they tapping into the spiritual realm?
It says Shadesmar in the question. Please read the question as is.
As the cognitive realm is not special. It should not have a special name when the other two do not. Or are they tapping into the spiritual realm shenanigans? Brandon, they are tapping into spiritual realm shenanigans. An else caller is capable of creating something that can teleport you faster than the speed of light.
Okay, sure.
All right, cool.
I don't know what that implies for causality.
It breaks causality.
Yeah, I mean, any faster than light does that. That's how it works.
Mm-hmm. Yes, what I mean is I don't know what practically within the Cosmere, I don't know what that's gonna be a problem for.
I'm sure in the spiritual realm it's fine.
Sure, let's all go to the spiritual realm.
The open question, why in the spiritual realm, if all places and times are one, that an else caller can only use that to go through space and not time,
and not time travel,
right? Why would that be a different? Think about it.
Because time still exists, it just doesn't matter. The present is still the present.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that it doesn't matter, right? Because if you are trying, it is far less relevant because looking far into the future becomes more difficult than just glimpsing the next few seconds of combat. And so it's not that time is irrelevant, it's just not as useful and as linear as it is in the physical realm.
It's odd to me that he says that they're tapping into the spiritual realm shenanigans for the Oathgates, and an else caller is capable of creating something. So he's saying the same thing. I like it. The way I read the sentence, it sounds like he's saying but this could be different, but it's the same. So I guess it's just Oathgates are using the same mechanic.
I think that's more what he's saying. Yeah,
that's how I'm reading it. Yeah,
yeah. And I think the reason you don't teleport through time in the spiritual realm is because Brandon doesn't want it to work that way. That's the real answer. So. Yeah.
So I guess Oathgates are FTL now.
Yep. All right. Alyx, why don't you talk about Hoid's dating life? Your favorite?
More dragons.
Back to the dragon questions, because the floodgates have been open. Brandon just answers questions about dragons constantly now. So This is the new era. Year of the Dragon. We're actually coming up into the Year of the Dragon. Hello. Happy Lunar New Year. Questioner.
We're getting Dragonsteel Prime this year then, right? So there you go.
It's very apt.
Wow.
Yeah. It's all planned.
Is Hoid secretly a dragon? Brandon says Hoid is not secretly a dragon, but he did date one once. And the questioner, a different questioner, questioner 2, says, well, who was the dragon that Hoid dated? And Brandon, I assume, gleefully raffoed this.
Yeah.
That's an editorial note. It doesn't say that here, but I'm just going to assume there was glee in the RAFO as it occurred.
That seems believable.
I'm pretty sure at the con.
Frost.
Right. Oh, I know Brandon's not going to give that to us, but he should. We deserve that.
I think at the con, this was like the question or two was like the next person in line. So they had some question in mind that they were going to ask. And as soon as Brandon gave this answer, they like pivoted and were like, we need it.
It was within
pull that thread.
5 questions, like maybe within 3 questions.
Yeah, definitely. I think that previous sequence of lift dragon WoBs, I think some questioners adjusted what their question is going to be. It's like, oh, that's a good idea, actually.
Yeah.
So I don't think cultivation. That seems unlikely.
No.
Our list of options is small.
Although, didn't he say that cultivation doesn't like him that much? Maybe they're exes.
True. And she is called Slammer, so maybe he has some personal
He
insight.
calls her Slammer.
Well, then even more personal insight.
Well, I think there's also a line of like, there's only one woman here near my age, and she never cared for me.
Oh, maybe that's it. Okay. I don't remember
I
what
think
the line is.
I remember what you're talking about. I don't know if we remember the line well enough.
I feel like I remember the line
because there's room there for spice.
Oh, research break.
Research break.
I think there's only one of those around these parts, and she and I never did get along.
There you go.
I'm right.
Never did get along.
So I think that it's not cultivation.
Probably
despite
not.
the slammer thing. Yeah, I guess we know 2 dragons. Three dragons. Cultivation, Frost, and Isis.
Is Isis, yeah.
That is the complete list of dragons.
There's also Zabanus, but I don't know if they actually exist in the Cosmere.
I don't know if Zabanus is canonical.
Where is this from?
Yeah, who's that? I forgot.
From the logo of Dragonsteel.
Yeah, it's the name of the dragon in the logo, which Brandon suggested, and everyone rolled their eyes, so he's taking that as confirmation.
Okay. All right.
Zabanus being the name like he wanted to give to one of his children.
Oh wow! Did not know that.
He wasn't serious. That's why people were. But some people thought he might have been because fantasy authors.
Yes.
It's when people asked him what he was going to name his kids, he told them Zabanus, and they're like,
Are you joking? Are you not joking? I'm not sure. Yeah, so it's got to be a different dragon, right? Probably, maybe.
Guess we'll maybe see someday.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Hoid does appear to be straight, so probably a female dragon.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, I don't think Brandon would make Hoid pan as he should.
Yeah, Panhoid would be good. But yeah, I'm just thinking about the previous dragon WoBs in the last episode, how they have a dragon form and a human form, and so I guess that would be like you would still have like a female dragon form and a female human form, right? Like
yeah, so he
probably wouldn't.
He was probably not even a monster.
That's gonna have to be believed.
Yeah. Cool. I mean, that sounds about it for that one, really.
Well, our questioners are relentless. Wit's dated a dragon? Has Wit also dated a shard?
Nice.
And Brandon says, Wit has dated someone who wasn't a shard at that point, but at some point in the future became a vessel for a shard of Aether.
And the Wit Teravangian fic is really getting weird.
I
Maybe
just
like
want to
young
know
hot Teravangian.
who dated Race. You know, somebody must have dated Race.
No one
right?
in their right mind.
I didn't
Race
say anybody had to be in their right mind. That's no fun.
Look, if someone married Lynn DeVar, someone could marry Mary Prince.
Yep.
Maybe.
I mean, I guess this is technically fuel for cultivation.
That's a good point. That's a valid point.
I feel like we've pulled our textual evidence on that one.
Yeah.
The research break paid off.
Yes.
It's like I could see endowment, given her reaction to him.
That's true. Actually, I do kind of like the Endowment X's vibe. Ooh, like maybe even Endowment who expected Hoid to ascend and is a little bit bitter about like you had your chance at godhood.
Yeah,
and
I kind of dig
choice.
that.
You know,
maybe
there's a little bit of the energy there.
Maybe they were together and then she chose a shard and he didn't, and they're like, okay, well that sucks for you, I guess. Like, yeah, I'll go with Edgley. Yeah, sure. Edgley. I don't know. I'm never sure how to pronounce that name.
I go with Edgley.
Edgley.
I'm really hoping that Stormlight 5 we get like an epigraph from another shard writing to Hoid that's like angry X the entire time.
All right.
Let's move on to Lego Mistborn.
All right, buckle up. Aether's in Tress seem to take over their host aggressively, probably without the host's permission, whereas we see in the Lost Metal that with Twin Soul it's more willing. Is this related, and how to the corruption of Aethers on Lumar? And Brandon says, yeah, it is related. You have the main Aether planet, which we just named, and he kind of goes on and he says that Kalyani and Rahul helped her to name it. There's some beta readers and friends of his for a long time, and they've been helping him do the world building for that. And the name, he says, is Dahartri, something like that. That's how we've got it transcribed here. Brandon kind of stumbled over the pronunciation. I think he said it a few different ways.
I think there's an extra R in there. I think it's supposed to be like not Dahartri, but like the H needs to be like breathy, like a long A, H, silent H, like Dahartri, something like that.
Dartri. Sorry if you're from India and this is
yes,
grinding. Yeah, but anyways,
feel free to correct us.
Regardless, Brandon says on the main planet. So the idea here is they're very formalized how you interact with the Aethers, but on some other planets, not just Lumar, Aethers have gone that are not connected to the main set of them on the main planet. And so what's going on Lumar is directly related to how that separation happened. So the answer is a long-winded yes.
So that means that there's other strains, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think the Lumarian ones are unique.
Yeah.
They might be unique in like how feral they are.
Sure, yes, yeah.
But I don't think they are the only non-main strain.
Yeah.
Versions, yeah.
Yeah, which like if you're going to have like two strains of Aethers, like it makes sense to do more. Yeah, like not like half a dozen maybe. Top end.
So you have the prime Aethers on Daughtry. We'll go with that.
Aether homeworld.
Aether homeworld. And then from there, they're kind of spreading around, like other copies of them somehow are ending up in other places. I wonder if the ones maybe. I wonder if the ones on. So it's interesting that there are all 12 on Lumar. Like, are there 12 everywhere that they go? Do all 12 go? And then I guess my other thought is, are they all the same doing like the spore kind of thing like Lumar, or are they going to manifest in way different ways?
I think it can manifest in whatever way Brandon finds is cool.
Mm-hmm. I've always thought that the spores are unique to Lumar and how things work there.
Because the source of the Aethers is like not necessarily the spores themselves, but the moons that they're all dropping from is
where they're
generating these Aether spores.
Yeah.
All that.
Yeah.
Which like there are core Aethers on the moons that are feral in some way.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's what like spore eaters are like communing with, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Communing. They're offering water to the moon.
Sounds so bonkers when you just say it
as one does.
Completely accurate, though.
It's I mean, describe Cosmere magic in 5 words. It just sounds totally insane. It's like, you have the captain of the ship and she gives water to the moon. Like, sure. Yeah.
She ate some spores and now she offers water to the moon.
Yeah.
The moons be haunted, yo.
Mm-hmm. I'm very interested at the mythology and like what events happened with these Aethers. Like that's very interesting. The Dark Aether.
The Dark Aether. It's taken over the homeworld.
Yeah. All right. Use the Falchion says, have we met the Admiral of the Night Brigade or the family of said Admiral before? Brandon, the Admiral of the Night Brigade, is the protagonist of the unnamed Threnody novel. You've not met her yet. I didn't say hero on purpose. I said protagonist. But when I write the Night Brigade novel, it'll probably just be called the Night Brigade. She's the protagonist. And yeah, continuity chains are very involved in that story if I ever get around to writing it. So this is what I had thought, and I think this is fantastic that the Admiral is going to be that protagonist, and that's great, and I really want that novel, I think, more than Nightblood.
I am surprised, pleasantly, but surprised that it is the same person. I would not have expected, a character from a setting such as the setting of, like, it's not even Shadows or Silence of the Forest of Hell. It's like however many generations before people. Oh, I guess this could be taking. Yeah, I guess
the expedition back to the
yeah, because they want to retake the homeland. Yeah.
But I did always assume they were going by boat, which is maybe why she's an admiral, right? Like they have a navy, they're going, and they get spaceships.
Which we
in
know
her lifespan, she went from ships to spaceships.
Yeah, that's surprising to me.
Well, I guess there's just a bunch of people leaving Threnody on weird spaceships. So sure, what's another one? And what's another immortal in the Cosmere? Sure.
Yeah. And I guess also she could have gotten some kind of life extension. However, and so, it's not that she went from ships to spaceships over the course of 50 years or whatever, but over the course of 200 years.
Yeah, I mean, if you can order shades around, you'd be like, go to Nalthus, hey, give me your breath. Okay, yeah, I guess I will.
There's ways to get immortality in the Cosmere if you need it.
Yeah.
Once you're Cosmere aware.
Yep. So I love to see it, and I in fact would love to see it.
Next question. Questioner asks, Nomad was able to overcome his torment. Would someone else be able to do something similar using soul stamps? Brandon, yes, this is theoretically possible. Soul stamps are one of the easiest ways to play with spiritual DNA and spirit webs and stuff like that. So yeah.
That seems sensible.
There you go. Straightforward, yes. We like that.
So the idea here is you're just sort of stamping over you're making the torment not be itself. You're not actually leeching it off somehow. You're just sort of covering it up.
Either that or adding some sort of circumventing to it.
Changing your soul so you don't have a torment, stuff like that.
Yeah, because the torments are warping of the soul, right? So you're tricking it.
Or changing what the torment does.
Sure.
Yeah.
Into something more helpful. I think there's a lot of different things you could do at that point, rather than what Sigzil does, which is just negate it.
Sure.
He is not curing it, right? But he is mitigating it severely. And using soul stamps would be just getting rid of it for as long as the soul stamp is holding.
Get rid of or do whatever.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about this thing.
All right, Alex, for this next one, do you want to give some background as to why this question would be asked? Or do you want to read it first?
The question first.
Okay, sure.
This is a question about a prominent theory in the fandom. I would say.
I don't even know if the person who was asking it was aware of that theory, by the way.
Maybe.
Which makes it a prominent theory in the fandom if multiple people are coming up with the same thing.
Independently.
You could say they're little hordlings and they're all over the fandom.
Because Brandon actually does go into why people might think this. So the questioner asks, is MRAIZE a sleepless? And Brandon says, MRAIZE is not a sleepless, despite the scar. Sometimes it may be something I use to indicate someone is a sleepless. That it's an excellent question, but I can go ahead and let you know MRAIZE is not a sleepless. I'm glad somebody asked that, because I realize now if I ever give a scar to somebody, they're like, oh, that means sleepless, but not always. Sometimes scars just mean you've been in a lot of fights. The reason I'm reading this question is I freaking love MRAIZE so much. And also I hated this theory because I love MRAIZE so much and I don't want him to be a bunch of bugs. So,
a bunch of bugs not hot to you, Alex?
No, I think MRAIZE is very attractive because my taste is bad, but less so if he's
but not that
simulacrum of a person that is a lot of bugs. That's not as much my vibe as just a guy who's very sinister and happens to have a very scarred face. I will say, Brandon says here, despite the scar, as though MRAIZE only has one. MRAIZE actually does have lots of scars. I think his introduction says his face is like crisscrossed with scars, but I'm guessing Brandon's thinking of, he has one very prominent scar that deforms his lip that gets mentioned a few times. Because I'm not like very aware of all of the physical descriptors of MRAIZE from these books. Oops.
You sure you don't want to go on a research break real quick?
I don't think need to. They're already all in my head. I remember where they all are. You know,
she doesn't need to. Yeah.
God, I love MRAIZE so much.
Very good.
If he was sleepless, then he would be immortal, and then you wouldn't have to ever worry about him dying. He could be in the space age Cosmere, and now he's probably not.
I mean, we just talked about there's many ways to get immortality in the Cosmere. You know, he's like world hoppery type. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. There's other ways. But yeah, not a bunch of bugs. Love that.
Ooh. Now we can't tease you with bug MRAIZE theories.
There was a good year, honestly, where like I was just, whenever anybody mentioned MRAIZE and I was in the conversation, somebody would bring up bug MRAIZE because
you were forced to espouse it, actually.
Surely
that is true. There is a backstory that I was coerced to give my support for this theory despite it being my least favorite ever. So
coerced.
I'm so glad it's dead. I'm so glad it's dead.
Oh, wow.
MRAIZE is just a person.
Anyway, so that's why you're here.
That's why I'm here. Bug MRAIZE.
Bug MRAIZE.
No more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ding dong. Theory's dead.
Dating back to December 2022.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I feel like lots of people associate this theory with Punny, and Punny is who I heard it from. But I think Punny has said he was not the original person who came up with this idea. I don't recall who was, but
yeah, that's how it works in the fandom. If you are a big name, like people ping me periodically about cell phones, and I'm like, I just signal boosted.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm too dumb to come up with
your
something.
Cell phone
clever.
is too strong. You boosted the signal.
I actually did have a few people when this WoB dropped, like messaged me on the side who had like sort of forgotten what my relationship with this theory was and were like, I'm so sorry that the theory is dead. And I was like, what are you talking about? I won. And they're like, oh, didn't you like that one? And I was like, no, I hated this theory. It was my nemesis.
We just gaslit enough people to make it think that you liked it.
Somehow Feather's related to the bug MRAIZE theory, but
it's like, I mean, to be fair, if their logic is Feather liking theory, it's probably because Feather is trash in some way. So it's like it makes sense. That's fair.
Yeah.
Fair logic.
Yeah. I'm not against like the idea of a sleepless being hot. I just don't want that to be part of how I find MRAIZE hot, you know? These are different categories. I don't want them to overlap. Thank you.
It's like recycling. You have different put different trash in different
exactly bins. The different trash in the different bins.
Yeah.
Keep your trash organized.
The harem's very interesting.
Woo.
All right, let's go to a very different sort of question.
Yeah, speaking of trash, let's not do any more trash.
Oh, well,
I'm still here, so yeah.
Well, let's go somewhere else where there are no bugs and no MRAIZE.
Sounds terrible.
Ms. Aviar.
Nailed it.
What's that backwards? Revism.
No.
Name on the screen.
Sorry, audio listeners.
MSYVERW. I don't know what to do with this. Says, so what's up with Canticle? You've got the sunlight. It appears to be invested. And then the planet's core is trying to suck it up. And, you know, where does it go after that? And Brandon understands the confusion. It says, Cantica was built for a very specific purpose by a very powerful being in the Cosmere that I will someday get to. You are going to see more stuff like this. Basically, mega structures that imitate planets or other sort of heavenly bodies. And a random face smash of letters says, so it's not like some avatar of autonomy or something like that. And Brandon says, it's not an avatar of anything. It was built for a specific purpose. Yes. Just wait until I get to the Grand Apparatus. You're going to love that. Oh, what was that voice that talked about a future Cosmere planet? Weird.
He was so pleased to name drop this.
So coy.
Like, he was just like, tee.
Oh, Brandon.
It definitely reminds me of the, Patchy's a shard. Tee. This is what I want to give up in this tour.
Yeah.
It definitely had that energy. A Grand Apparatus.
Definitely gives invention vibes, because unfortunately Brandon's like, invention's a science shard, virtuosity's the art shard, even though that's boring. It's boring, Brandon.
Well, there's also like what we see in Cantico also has kind of a similar, this is a machine of some kind, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's an interesting part of this too.
I think Canticle was built by Odium because he's the void and Canticle sucks the light.
Because Canticle sucks.
I will agree that Canticle sucks, yes.
It's very interesting, Canticle, like if the core is trying to absorb investiture and like it's sent somewhere else to this being.
Yeah,
but like
I don't know if it's sent anyone else. I think it's just like, because it is like this super dense investiture core.
Yeah, that's true. I don't understand why they're doing this. You know, like
big battery. Just a big,
kind of like
a big
investiture refinery or something.
Ooh, and so like it's a thing where a shard would go back and be like, hey, now I'll take all this investiture and now I can use it for a thing,
you got
maybe.
all these reserves packed in a way by the core of the planet. Yeah.
That doesn't have to be invention-y necessarily. Like Grand Apparatus.
Aiden did, maybe. You know,
it's possible.
Who knows what he was up to?
Aiden will remember our play eventually.
And come back to claim his investiture.
Yeah.
It sucks that like of all the planets in the Cosmere that these Thronidites could have ended up on, they went to the deadly science experiment.
Yeah, I know.
That's not even a planet.
What did OG Zellion, what was he thinking? Like, really, this is the best planet you could find?
What if OG Zellion is like an agent of that shard who sent them? It's like, this is where we're going to bring them.
Avatar of invention.
Woo.
Yeah.
No, because you don't want people on your science experiment.
I mean, maybe that shard's like, they'll probably die. This place sucks.
Maybe they're kind of helpful to it. You know, like putting worms in your compost bin.
You need a little
having
spice
humans
of
just die occasionally and become sun hearts is like
they just get it the way of
the effectiveness.
Yeah.
It is like it brings more light to why the Scadrians are there, like studying it. Like it's not just like, oh, weird planet, but they probably are aware that like a shard did something here.
Yeah. And I guess it doesn't have to be a shard, but I'm gonna say shard until proven otherwise.
Very powerful being. Like,
what if an Aether did it?
That's mechanical contraptions, very much like Aether vibes.
Look, you don't know how powerful the Prime Aethers are.
No, but they are very like natural elements type of stuff. I feel like
I don't know, man. They built 12 moons over a planet in a weird arrangement. What more do you want?
Maybe it's like a Death Star kind of thing. Like they're gonna move this thing somewhere else and like suck all the investiture off of somebody else's planet after they've tested it.
Maybe it's like a test case for bringing a thing like this to Taldane, because Taldane's sun's invested, right?
Mm-hmm.
True.
Maybe it's like it's a working concept. I don't know why this sunlight would be invested. Like, who invested the sunlight? Is that just Aiden Alcium stuff? That's probably Aiden Alcium stuff. And maybe a shard built the planet to do this. Because if you were a shard and you made both the star and the planet, like, why are you doing any of this? It doesn't make any sense.
I mean, there's a thing where, shards are not really truly infinite. They can only do so much. And so you can like set this up to collect some of your investiture for later use. And you can go somewhere else in the Cosmere and do other things and know that there is a place you can fall back to where there's a bunch of your power that's waiting for you.
It's basically converting, like, yes, you have access to infinite investiture theoretically, but like conceptually you can only control so much. And this is just slowly converting that conceptual infinity into investiture you are aware of and control.
I just had kind of a thought, and that's, what if, and I don't mean to say that this is like necessarily links the planet to Skadriel, but what if this is the same kind of mechanics as like storing a metal mind for a long period of time that a shard is then planning on coming back and using for like a shardic version of compounding, sort of a thing.
Oh, wow.
But like you need to put the investiture into the metal mind that is the core of the planet,
it's a
so
giant
that someday you can come back.
mind.
Like that kind of a thing where like it needs to be stored in a way to turn it into something more later.
I just don't know I don't think shards would need something like compounding necessarily, because I think compounding's mostly a hack to access preservation's power in a weird faster. Infinite way, in like a weird way. And a shard could just like do the thing, right? Like it, I don't know. I want it to be a pure hunk of nigrosil. It's just super invested. Or probably a god metal, more likely.
Probably a god metal, yeah.
Yeah.
What
are the planetary mechanics of the core of Canticle? I want to know. Shrug emoji, yeah.
Shrooge.
Josh, do you want to take this next question also about the Grand Apparatus?
Move on to the Grand Apparatus. This is another one of these great questions where the questioner is like, I found a new question I'm going to ask today. Strife Lover says, what is the Grand Apparatus? And Brandon says, the Grand Apparatus is a reference to a planet in the Cosmere you haven't seen yet that is it's very obviously constructed for a certain purpose. By the way, he says this is not necessarily the canonical name. It probably will be, but he has to Google it and make sure that somebody else doesn't have it copyrighted or something.
Like Silverlight.
And like Silverlight. But anyways,
which he
there's that aside.
He didn't change, but he just waited for Silverlight to die, and Brandon's like, I'm still here.
It worked. He waited it out.
Outlived it.
So the Grand Apparatus is Microsoft software, clearly.
It's Windows. It's actually just Windows. It's a Windows-sized planet.
Yeah.
The Earth is actually the Cosmere, and the Earth turns into the Grand Apparatus.
So I think there's like a song that's named Grand Apparatus. But most of like the top results are now Cosmere. So
nice.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Winning.
I think Brandon's good.
I think Brandon's good. I mean, it's a sweet name. And also in the state of Sanderson, he listed the Grand Apparatus as like a name of a book.
Yeah.
There you go.
So,
although that could easily be a placeholder, right?
Yeah. But I mean, I think it's a great name for a book. That's a great name.
Yeah. Place names very common for book titles.
Yeah.
It's constructed for a certain purpose. I don't think we have any clues on what that certain purpose is because we've not seen it.
Because we don't know anything about it.
This is the most we've learned. This is the first we've heard of the Grand Apparatus. Yeah. This is all the Grand Apparatus stuff that you know. You're up to speed, everyone.
It's a giant computational engine for all we know.
Something.
It does sound invention-y, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, do we have any other Grand Apparatus thoughts? Like, there's not a whole lot we can do other than probably invention, I feel like. That's about it.
I was going to make the wild stab that he's talking about dragons. Maybe it's a dragon thing, but I can't imagine dragons making planet things.
Yeah, maybe it's I don't believe this for a minute, but if I were to combine, Brandon's blabbing about dragons and Brandon's blabbing about the Grand Apparatus, and like if I'm looking for a way to combine these two, one of them is mech dragons, which I don't think the Cosmere will go. But the other one is I'm reminded of like those dragons that are like not true dragons, like the more animalistic, lizardly.
The dragon riders.
Yeah.
Stuff.
And so I'm like, is there a version of this where like there's a planet that either contains the Grand Apparatus or the Grand Apparatus is the planet or whatever? It's like some kind of a mega structure that's like an observational facility or like a prison or a study thing for these drakelings. But like I don't know how any of that could that's literally me just like, here's an idea. How can I fit these two together?
I wonder if there could also be something like somebody makes a planet that is the Grand Apparatus, and then you have like a dragon who is supposed to supervise it. Like, are the dragons supposed to be, because they are very long lived and they have these like communication abilities sort of with their underlings? Like, are the dragons sort of like, put in charge of supervising this planet that is a machine sort of a thing?
And I'm getting a little bit of like Zeiss and his research station on Lumar vibes out of that. Interesting.
And rounding out these megastructure questions, we have Alamancer Sam asking, is there a shard hiding out in Canticle's core? And that's a Raffo. So I think shard battery that. Yeah.
I take shard battery and I raise you shard Pokeball.
That's where the shard who wants to hide and survive is.
I mean, I do think we made that joke on the Sunlit Mad episodes that it's just like, is the core. It's just like, hey, I'm here.
Could be a shard.
I did not watch that one, so this is an original joke.
I like it. Well, the Pokeball thing we didn't say, but you know, if you need a gemstone for an unmade, maybe you need a really big gemstone for a shard, and maybe it needs to be a planet size. You know, think about it, right?
I thought you were going to say it's upgraded from a battery to like a capacitor. So like maybe like there's some reason to like large quantities of investiture really, really fast. Maybe a shard has trouble with. I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah. There might be a being there, like there's Paggy on.
Sure.
I mean, that much investiture is probably going to become sentient at some point.
That's terrifying.
So the thing with that is that I'm not sure. Like, I would say that this investiture is like constantly in motion, right? Because you are constantly absorbing more. And my intuition is that it's like you are constantly mixing the dough, right? And you're adding more. And so there's not enough time for it to like settle and develop into anything because you're constantly churning it.
Shardic egg. Trying to make a baby shard.
Well, it's kind of like the Stormfather making other spren, and it's a baby shard.
Yeah. Not quite what I was going for, but maybe.
I'm just saying there we have a example of investiture beings reproducing, so to speak,
making other investiture beings.
Yeah. Why you wouldn't just splinter yourself? I'm like, okay, sure. Maybe it's like a shard, like it's Adenalcium stuff in the sun. Okay. And this other shard is making an egg. And so it's charging the egg with Adenalcium stuff. And what the shard's gonna do is imprint itself onto that Adenalcium stuff. So you have like a second shard that you're not using your power to. It's Adenalcium stuff.
So it's it
doesn't even need to be Adenalcium. It could just be some other shard that you're now co-opting their investiture and making a baby with it.
It's true. I guess it doesn't even make sense to have Adenalcium investiture still. Like, it probably doesn't make any sense.
I think so. It doesn't.
It's all colored in different shards. Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
all of Aidenalzium's investiture was assigned to one of the shards. That is
Like the sun could have been Aidenalzium's before the shattering, but now it's someone else's.
Allocated to somebody, but it might not have been allocated to the person to whoever built the planet.
Nice.
That is true. Yeah.
How you doing, Alex?
You know, sometimes it's just head empty, no thoughts.
Okay, well, we're going to talk about your favorite subject.
Spren?
Yeah, briefly.
Skybreakers.
Skybreakers.
This question was asked by a very, very, very young fan.
Ooh.
And Brendan tried to engage them in conversation, and I don't think it went well. It felt very awkward watching this. The questioner asked, like, I was wondering if the Skybreakers armor spren, what spren are they? Brendan, well, do you have any guesses? Questioner, Storm spren. Brandon, no, not Storm spren. Good guess. Any other guesses? And then it was like a very long pause of no. And before Brandon just answered the question, which is gravitation spren. We're going with gravitation spren for them. So you should see some little hints of that in future books. And this isn't too much of a spoiler because we will be releasing all of these when the RPG comes out, because you got to know how to get your armor when you play the RPG.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Gravitation spren.
Yeah.
And Skybreakers.
In terms of this being about Skybreakers, not really the most interesting sort of conceptually.
Yep. Don't worry, I'm sure the next question will be right up your alley.
Oh boy.
I don't love this question, or like I don't like this answer.
Why is that?
Because gravitation is one of the surges, and it's also shared with wind spren, purely a windrunner thing. Gravitation spren is shared with windrunners, between windrunners and Skybreakers, and yet it's the Skybreaker plate spren. I'm like,
gravitation in general feels like an odd concept to have gotten a spren in general, I guess, in my head. Like we think, like, how often do humans think about the wind versus how often do humans think about the force of gravity that's being exerted on this object, sort of, you know? But I guess it's fine. Clearly, gravitation.
I'm looking for the
exists,
electromagnetic
so.
spren. That's what I want.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
light spren exist.
Yeah.
We know there are bind spren that are attracted to adhesion, gravitation, obviously. But one of them gets to be a plate spren. I'm like,
I don't know how well these are going to work for all 10 of these, I'll be honest.
You could also see like the edge dancers getting life spren, whereas like they share regrowth, which is kind of the like lifey power between two orders. You know, it's the one that does plants and healing and stuff.
It's just weird because they are shared, and so it makes it a little muddy.
I guess like life spren just seem more generic than just, they're not progression spren.
Yeah.
Okay, fair. Sure.
Gravitation just like it feels very on the nose.
They are all like human made names though. To me, I guess it's like, I don't know. It's kind of arbitrary that the spren are named the same thing as the surge exactly.
Yeah.
Falling down spren.
Because fun fact, the force of gravity is attributed to several different types of spren. Ground spren, gravity spren, and then gravitation spren. Which might all be the name for the same thing, in which case should have named ground spren, I would be 90% less annoyed.
Ground spren does feel like a better name for
nothing like having your Skybreakers have ground spren.
Weird for Skybreakers.
Yeah.
It's a fun dichotomy.
Yeah.
What is the broken sky if not the ground?
Fair point. It's fair point.
It's actually Taldane.
It's a broken sky.
Deep cut.
Nice. I like that.
I wonder if like approaching this from a surge perspective is the wrong way to approach things, because like else colors are logic spren, right? And that you can't attach logic spren to either of the else color surges.
Sure.
But you may be able to attach the armor spren to the radiant spren that is associated with that order. And so honor spren to win spren, that makes sense. And so I think the interesting question here is, well, can we relate high spren to gravitation spren in some way? And I don't know that because we have barely seen any high spren, and we haven't seen any gravitation spren really. So but that is another way to tackle that.
The high spren, you know,
yeah,
they
like
got
gravity's
gravity
kind of
vibe,
spacey.
and gravity is kind of like a spacey concept. Sure,
this is pretty weak, but yeah, like I see where we're going here. I mean, high spren are just such a weird type of spren that I don't really have a firm grasp on them. So
yeah, because they don't like to talk to people.
Yeah, they're
very elitist.
Yeah, they're assholes. So
they are, except for Ox, who is awesome.
Hell
and also dead.
Well, yeah. Well, you're not going to be talking.
Sometimes you get nicer when you're dead. You know. Yeesh.
So the annoying parts are what got burned away.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah.
Which was his personality.
Which we know. That's most of what got burned away.
That's true.
Yeah.
Alyx, do you want to save us and go to a great question that you'll love?
Yeah, let's see. So we have from Questioner again. Suppression fabrials. They don't work above the 4th ideal for Radiance, but they work on all fused. Why? Brandon says, fused have, in general, a smaller amount of investiture or access to a smaller amount of investiture than a Radiant of those oaths. That's the dividing line that you can use to figure that out. Okay. Cool.
Sure.
I think that makes sense.
I think that makes sense.
And it also works with the idea that Kaladin was close to the 4th ideal at the start of Rhythm of War, and so his abilities were not fully suppressed. And that's kind of playing into the idea that, yes, ideals are discrete kind of progression steps, but you don't go from ideal 3 to ideal 4, you progress gradually between ideals. And so your Stormlight efficiency gradually increases. And so there are steps, but there's a path between those.
They're not completely quantized.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I like that. That's good. And fused, they're
not like electrons.
They can have... they can get more void light and stuff, but at any given time, I feel like they...
I mean, this works with the way, Heavenly Ones can't do the multiple lashings to go super speed the way that Radiants can.
Yeah.
They do feel like they have just slightly more baked in limits, even if a lot of times they talk about we have a greater understanding of our surges, whereas Radiants can kind of move along the spectrum of how much of their powers they're using.
Yeah, it's the skill versus power dichotomy that crops up a lot in Brennan's works. But this is also reminiscent of Copper Clouds and Allomancy, and it being a matter of power to pierce them.
Yeah.
Sure.
Allomancer Sam comes back with a second question, asking, as of the Lost Metal, is Kelsier alive enough that Hoid can't hurt him anymore? And this is a paraphrased question and a paraphrased answer. And Brandon says, yes, Hoid would have trouble hurting him in his current state.
Sorry, Alyx. Hoid will not be the one to punch Kelsier anymore.
Unfortunately. I enjoyed it immensely when it did happen.
It was very enjoyable to have Hoid.
I will, as a Kelsier stan, yes.
It's fun for Hoid to be able to do that for once,
The bastard versus bastard energy in that scene is
That's great. I love that.
It's actually a little bit interesting to me, sort of realizing in hindsight that Hoid had not figured out he could beat the hell out of a cognitive shadow before meeting Kelsier. Like, surely he's met a cognitive shadow he's wanted to punch before.
Especially because he's been on Roshar for a long time, right? Like, like there's
Why
the
was
cognitive
Kelsier
shadows
the
are
first
all over the
one?
place.
He actually tried this on and was like, oh, wait, I can hurt you.
So I think most of the time where like he's on Roshar, when he would be interacting with those cognitive shadows, they're in bodies.
Yeah.
So like they're alive enough that like he can't
living thing.
do anything.
Yeah.
Like I don't think he's rocking up on MRAIZE and talking to them in like floating investiture forms, whatever life is like on MRAIZE. We don't know.
Sounds great.
I just figure he travels through Shadesmar a lot. Like, you gotta run into cognitive shadows sometime, right?
I think spren might be distinctive enough from cognitive shadows for the purposes of this thing.
Maybe.
Because like a spren is, yes, it is still made of investiture, but it like this is its life form. I think it might be an interesting question about whether Hoid can punch dead eyes.
Can Hoid punch Ox's corpse? Let's go.
How much can we mutilate Ox?
Poor Ox is now getting all of the worst theorization about what we can do with his corpse. Yikes.
Nice.
He's a unique circumstance in the Cosmere.
And he's not around to complain, so, you know.
Eesh.
All right, so the next one, questioner asks, you talked about how Hoid would never want to go near Nightblood. If he were to be in a proximity of Nightblood, would he be like a force push away? Like he wouldn't be able to get close to him? And Brandon says no, he would not want to touch it. So the thing about Nightblood is Hoid's one of the few who knows exactly how dangerous the thing is, and beyond that, Hoid depends on his the memories he has stored in his breath. And that would be one of the first things that would get sucked by Nightblood if he were to pick it up. So he would not want to touch Nightblood. He might lose centuries, and this is a big deal to Hoid. So yes, he could theoretically pick up Nightblood. He just wouldn't. It would just be more disastrous and more quickly for him than it would be for others.
Yeah, I don't know if I understand the premise of the question, that it's like some electromagnetic like push away. Like that doesn't make any sense to me.
Know where that's coming from.
Like it was always pretty obvious that it's like it's going to be really dangerous and eat your investiture. But like I like the memory description. Like Hoid would, he likes being in charge of his faculties quite a lot as it happens. That makes a lot of sense to me. Yep.
If only there were someone who had messed with Hoid's memories that he keeps in his breaths.
Yeah, that would suck, wouldn't it? For sure.
Be real bad for him, huh?
Yeah, would. That would be a little problematic. Cool. This next question. How many different types of Aviar are there, and what do they all do? Brandon's just going to list all like 16 or 30
actually,
of them.
Thung a scroll. The Book of Aviar.
I got it on me, actually. Brandon, this is a raffo because I haven't even decided yet. What I decided is that there are dozens upon dozens of different kinds of Aviar. So what that tells me is I don't want to nail down what all of them do, because if I do, then I might need one for a story in the future. So this is kind of a how a sausage is made sort of thing. It is on a magic system like this where I'm saving to maybe talk about it more in the future. I don't nail things down. When I need to write an entire series, it's something I often will nail everything down. But when there are as many Aviar as there potentially are, I'm not going to do that. So you may imagine powers that may come to exist in the future, but I'm not going to tell you what they all are. So that basically means to me that whatever magical effect that you can list in the Cosmere, there easily could be an Aviar that does that. Just like straight up. So yeah, that's fine.
Brandon's going to write a thing and it's like, okay, here's the magical effect. Like, yeah, sure, there's an Aviar for that.
Aviar.
Rather than like coming up with a set of rules and like, these are the rules for the system that I'm using for this series. And like very regimented, which I like that he does both.
Yep. There's probably going to be an upper cap on like, I'm having a hard time believing that there might be like an Allomantic Atium Aviar. That seems a little busted, but you can also put limitations on it. Like your Aviar gives you that ability and then it falls asleep for a week.
I mean, you could consider the Aviar that shows you how you're going to die.
That what that is?
That's Electrum. Like it's close enough to it's playing with fortune. Like
yes, I said ATM specifically.
I'm okay. Well, we don't know what pure ATM does, really. Technically, kind of.
Foiled by the retcon once again.
Ooh.
Just saying.
I will say audio listeners are not able to see, but I have been joined by co-host Dalish, who's chilling on my shoulder. So.
I wonder if you can get her to purr in the microphone for the audience.
It doesn't work on this microphone.
Oh, right.
Sure. It's hard to hear. It works on the headset microphone that I'm not allowed to use on Shardcast because the quality is too bad.
It is.
According to Eric.
That's a true statement.
But it captures kitty purrs real good.
It's very loud. Yes, can confirm.
Very loud, yes.
Cool. I like that.
Questioner asks, is there a reason the Night Brigade is following Nomad or can seem to follow him, but can't seem to follow Hoid? Brandon, yes. They have a way of tracking who, once they find someone, they can find the chain to the next person, able to go from Hoid through the chain to get to Nomad, and they're trying to find where it went after that. So it's like, they already found Hoid, they don't care about Hoid anymore.
That's crazy.
Which, given the description Sigzil gave for how that works, which is like take your soul and fashion it into a spike that points at the next person.
Interesting.
I guess Hoid just like got better.
I mean, if anyone was going to get better, it would be Hoid.
Yeah, he's like super immortal.
Or he just straight up told them who to go after.
I will say this swab. Good evidence, I would say, that Sigzil didn't give the Dawn Shard back to Hoid, which is what I always
he did it after they tracked down Hoid.
Yeah, it has to be that, right? Because he says, like, if they catch me, they'll be after you. So what else does that mean?
Okay, we've been over this in so many episodes.
Yeah,
I disagree. I don't think he gave it back to Hoid. I think he gave it to someone else. I think there's textual evidence for that. And I know that's an unpopular opinion, but
I think it went back to Hoid.
I always thought it went back to Hoid. Which I could see this as like the hide and seek strat of you put the thing in the place that the people just looked at so that they won't go back and look at it again.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Sort of a vibe.
Wow. We're just getting all the Hoid things today. Like,
apparently Hoid, a popular subject in...
That's shocking to me. That's never happened before.
No, not once.
Hoid's really dated a lot of people, though. He dated that singer that fused, you know.
No, we don't know that they've dated. They've danced together.
Okay, fair.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fine.
On Roshar, that means they dated.
I like this headcanon.
Yeah, Hoid's just
Hoid's a slut, you guys. More Hoid. Alyx.
So questioner asks, if Hoid took Lerasium in Mistborn's secret history, does that mean his hemalurgic spikes are ferrochemical? And Brandon asks, what hemalurgic spikes? The questioner said Hoid and his magic systems, he had hemalurgic spikes. And Brandon says he does hold some. They may not be in him. Does that make sense? Hoid has hemalurgic spikes carried with him. Because the people who ask me if Hoid has hemalurgic spikes didn't say which one. He does not necessarily have them spiking him. He actually has like a little bandolier type thing. Hoid's got one of those with a bunch of spikes. He was going to use them in one of the books, but it turned out to not be necessary, so I didn't put it in.
What? Which, like, this, like, tracks with previous WoWs where, like, Brandon has said Hoid is unlikely to want to open himself up to influence that would happen if he had a spike.
It's just wild to me that there was a book where he was gonna potentially use them and ended up like, what is this?
It has the vibe of like the last resort soul stamps.
Yeah, sure.
I guess
this is an in case of emergency
stab soul here.
Do hemalurgy.
And like I can see if he's on Skadriel especially, that's like, okay, I'm friendly with this shard, like that. Like Roshar, that would probably be very bad to open your soul to such things. But well, I guess not with the contract, but
he can use it with someone else, right? When I read that, I assumed he would put the spikes in, not himself.
Oh,
yikes!
That's true. Could also give those to somebody else.
Here, let me stab you with this long pointy spike, but you have no cultural knowledge of what I'm about to do.
Fear,
it'll be fine. I'm definitely not murdering you.
Be not afraid. Stab.
That's an interesting question, though. Could Hoid place a hemalurgic spike in somebody?
Wait, that's the next question. We're not there yet.
Why don't we read the next question? Why don't we do that?
Let's talk about the next question.
Okay. The next question, very appropriately, has a question about Hoid, also from questioner.
Mm-hmm.
If he was previously a Dawn Shard that prevented him from hurting himself or others, how could he use a hemalurgic spike on himself? And Brandon says, we don't know that he has.
He was so happy to be like coy with these answers, by the way.
He's always, Brandon is always happy when he can be coy about things.
Yep.
And Brandon says, we don't know that he has, but would he be able to? And Brandon says, I think there's a way he could get around that if he needed to. Basically, he has to convince himself that he isn't actually hurting him, it's helping him. And question says, similar to how he could do damage to cognitive shadows because they're not really. Yes, exactly.
That does really remind me a lot of what like Sigzil was doing in Sunlit Man, though, where it's like I'm summoning the blade, but it's like I'm helping, or it's like a tool or something. Like there's probably some rationalizations in that same regard that like that makes sense to me. I don't know if he could literally spike another person. That seems maybe going a little too far.
I think so, because like if you do it successfully, then like there aren't really any like deleterious effects.
He light weaves the spike to make it look friendly. It's just like steel spike. And
I mean, like no, it's like this will legitimately make you more powerful.
Yeah,
like, you won't be harmed by this.
He could be saving them by giving it to them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. He definitely could not create a spike.
Yeah. For sure.
Putting a spike into somebody, I think he could absolutely head wave away.
Maybe he got these spikes like Year of Ages time. All the Inquisitors died. Grab some.
There was probably not a lot of hemalurgy going on after that.
Yeah. Like that's when you got to get them.
Well. I was gonna say.
Well, there's also like the weird new spikes created in Lost Metal.
Yeah, but they're a work in progress.
Yeah.
But like he's immortal, so this could be like 200 years in the future.
Yeah, now is like unclear when he had
when does
he
have the bandolier type thing?
What is
sort of
now?
Does he have a bandolier in Yumi? When he's a statue.
Is it one of the things on the coat rack that he is? It's just like he
does have like a bandolier, but it's pouches. It's not like I'm imagining like the ammo sort of bandolier.
Yeah.
There's little like you can see the spikes just in a leather strap sort of a vibe.
It would be so funny if
I am sure we would have noticed spikes if there were spikes.
Yeah, I don't think it's visible, but
no, he's got like belts essentially, but there's nothing on like the only thing on the belts are like coat hangers, like hooks things.
I mean, I don't think it would be obvious to a general observer that he had spikes. I think he would try and disguise it a little bit better. But.
Yeah, like he wouldn't wear those.
He also described this like as like one of those things you can unroll, and it's like a bunch of pencils that you can roll up for like travel rather than like a belt bandolier of ammo or of bells if you're a necromancer.
Nice.
Next question talks about silver and other things. Questioner asks, does silver break connection or bonds? If silver does have this effect, does it get used in the creation of unkeyed metal mines? That is not the Scadrian medallions, but if you are a gold ferrochemist, you can use any unkeyed gold metal mine.
Look, I'm never sure if the general audience truly is like unsealed versus unkeyed, so they could have meant the other one though. But yeah.
Weird metal mines. And Brent says, these are good questions. Silver, as I have it right now, is not capable of that. which is breaking connections or bonds. What silver's doing is disrupting. It's more like interference. You know how in white sand people can have these columns of sand? If you swiped silver through that, they would fall. But then they would be able to do it again, which is weird because you can do that with just like flesh in white sand, and that still works. But moving on, it's this little nullification for a short time. It is very dangerous to things like shades and stuff like that. It's more disruptive. If you hit a spren with this, it would be like hitting them with a shard blade. They're gonna come back together. They're not dead. They're gonna reform eventually and probably won't take too long. So it's not severing connection. You're gonna need anti-investiture to do really destructive stuff. But you can disrupt with some silver. It's specifically bad for shades for reasons maybe I'll get into someday.
Shades are weird for yet another reason, I guess. Okay, sure.
Dude, shades, man.
Shades are the weirdest cognitive shadow.
I don't understand anything with shades. And you can shoot them from guns.
Say hello to that broadsheet from Bands, I think. Yeah, Bands warning.
Yeah, I think Bands, yeah.
Yeah, it's Bands.
Yeah, it would have been Bands.
Check that one out.
Nacelle Sauvage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't really have a lot to say. Like, it was interesting. Like to learn more about silver there.
I'm not sure the sand ribbon thing holds because of established interactions of like when sand ribbons like cross each other and like
you're thinking of the sand. The sand can disrupt other sand, but I don't think just anything can disrupt it.
I think you can just like slash your hand through that. I think it's
been too long since.
We'll find out in the prose version of White Sand.
We need another White Sand to
answer these key questions.
Yeah, very important.
Okay. Just put that out of my brain.
Next question from questioner. We've seen Renarin do some pretty fantastical things, both in Oathbringer and Rhythm of War. Are Truthwatchers able to use aspects of the progression and Lightweaving Surge to have someone or something become a different version of itself? And Brandon says they can't make that happen, but they can certainly invite.
Interesting.
I will say I don't remember why, but I and a few other people at the time thought this was kind of a subtle way of asking if a truth watcher could like help a trans person become their
transition,
their true self. Yeah, essentially.
I find a lot of what is going on with Renarin interesting because it's hard to figure out what is just a truth watcher thing and what is part of the like enlightenment necessarily. This little power of his, I think, is uniquely fascinating to me. In the way, like we've seen him use it against a few, not even necessarily against a few people, but like with a few people, like he hits Adolin with it. He hits Moash with it in a way that like really shuts Moash down, which is kind of cool. And I find myself like constantly wondering what would have happened if like Taravangian had taken his hand and what he would have seen.
That'd be different.
Yeah, like the way that Brandon answers it, and I don't necessarily want to read too much into like the way it's phrased, but because the questioner just said truth watchers and not enlightened truth watchers, and Brandon just answered that, I'm like, so is this like another? Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting because it's also similar to what we've seen Shalon do with some of her illustrations that are like idealized self.
Yeah.
So there was a little bit of like, maybe this isn't progression and light weaving. Maybe it's just part of the illumination surge.
Yeah, it's spiritual illumination.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know if they can like actually make the transformation happen and change who that person is, but like
yes,
but
that
like,
seems
they explicitly cannot consent.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but
well, I mean, you can probably make it happen with some healing, right? If like you are inviting this change and the other person is going, okay, thumbs up, then you can probably heal, quote unquote, that person to that version of themselves.
Yeah, sure.
Depending on like the scope of the change, right?
What I think Brendan is saying here is a truth watcher cannot force a change onto another person, but like they can like give the opportunity and maybe facilitate it, but like the other person has complete volition.
Yep.
Yeah. And that reminds me of Shallan a lot. Like, I can show you this version. You can choose whether you want to become this person or not. But like the Truthwatcher, they could probably use progression to do some additional things that are interesting, right?
Yeah. The progression side of it, I think I had not like using that to move a person closer to the version that you're showing with illumination.
Yeah, like definitely the transitioning is an interesting idea in that way.
Yeah.
Right?
Because Shallan is really just showing people like
possibilities,
essentially illusions of who they could be, right?
Yeah.
But you can't do anything about like changing them.
Yeah.
Pattern does like say something about like, oh, like she's transforming them because like that transformation is her other surge.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not soul casting them, but like it, which I always found very unsatisfying because I'm like, so like spiritual transformation.
Sure, why not?
It's
Well,
I think he means it in a thematic way, is how I've always read it.
But it's like, it's weird.
Not to pull things back to like everyone's favorite meme character, the Stick, but I wonder if like Shallan, seriously, if Shallan was able to like envision a like spiritual version of the Stick that was more in line with what she wanted, would she have an easier time soul casting it?
Like
because she had shown it a more compelling reason to change. Like, does it work for Lightweavers on like more of the inanimate object side?
I think that's possible.
Like
you're convincing the thing to do to change, right?
I think you were looking at like Shallan like inspiring the Stick to be more flammable. Like I don't that seems.
Like no. Let me paint you
bright of a fire you could
let me paint you a picture. It's like you're a stick, but like look how useful and powerful you'll be as this just this powerful change.
We get so little about like what it actually takes to successfully soul cast.
Like
there's really just that one Yasna bit where we see like, okay, you soul cast air like this and you soul cast stone like this, and it's like,
except it happens in a scene where she breaks the rules.
She she's just so cool that she can just make them do whatever she wants.
And there's some realm stuff going on.
Honestly, one of the most annoying things about Stormlight is like soul casting is going to be really important. It's like actually Shallan sucks at it and she's never going to use it. Like, okay, interesting. That's I don't know. That's an interesting choice.
One of our soulcasters sucks and can't do it. The other one of our soulcasters is so good she doesn't care about the rules,
and she's not on screen most of the time. It's like, interesting.
And then there's like Beryl, who's like, well, it helps to have like a grain of the like a piece of the thing that I want to transform the thing into to like show as a sample.
Yeah. So maybe I think your thing with Stick, Alex, is actually very valid, and I think most of the comments now are going to be about Stick for sure.
There we go.
The subtitle for this video should be "Serious Stick Discussion."
The Grand Apparatus in parentheses serious Stick discussion, and they'll be like, "Are those related?" What? The Grand Apparatus is just a bunch of sticks just together. Very complicated. Actually.
The treehouse.
That's like literally any building.
It's a beaver's dam, but it's just a planet-sized beaver's dam of sticks.
Yeah, and it holds back the river of investiture.
Yes. There you go. Easy. All right. So next up, we got In Yumi and the Nightmare Painter design mentions being a shard blade. My question is, what oaths has Hoid swore? Brandon, will Raffo how many of them, but he is doing the Lightweaver thing, which was kind of hard for him, honestly. He had to admit some truths he didn't want to. I love that.
I just want to know. Like, that is...
That's cool.
Because Hoid is such a mysterious character that, like, deep personal truths are so crunchy for him.
Yeah, for sure.
How much does he lie to himself about who he really is?
Probably a lot. Probably a lot.
And like, what a thing for design of like, oh, I thought I was gonna on this like very sweet king he needs to learn that he's not a very good king, to like, oh, I'm just bonded the biggest liar in the Cosmere. Fascinating.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Oh, hello, Dalish. We're coming back.
Hello. Cool.
Baby?
That seems pretty good to me.
There she goes.
But like, I do like that with all of his experience, like he can't circumvent how Lightweaver oaths work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He can't just because like something is like a juicy secret for like other people. Like, nah, it needs to be like
a truth,
deep in personal truth to him.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like the idea that this is part of why design does not necessarily respect Hoid, because like she kind of knows his dirt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like, this idiot.
Uh-huh. Yep.
I mean, she wasn't pretty worried about him being a coat rack. It's like, it's fine. I'll run the noodle shop. It's fine.
I like to imagine that he would like tried to circumvent the oaths in some way, or like, I don't know, try to like negotiate with her in some way, and design is just like, no, we're not doing that. Nope.
Yeah. That
those words are not accepted.
I can feel is tasty enough.
I hope there's an internal meme between those two where design's just like, those words not accepted. And she just says it all the time.
Design just keeps a list of things Hoid thought he could get away with as oath truths and like uses it against him.
Yes.
Because like the other thing is that like he can't just like admit it and then immediately bury it again. Otherwise, that would just negate the whole ideal.
So it's like, actually
not only does he have to admit these deep truths, like he has to like continually live them.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Can't shove that in a breath. Probably got to keep that one in the main hard drive.
Yeah, got to keep it in your C drive here.
So much.
Theoretically, is making him a better person over time.
Hopefully. I mean, I think it's good for Hoid to be humbled a little bit. And so I think design's good for him, long term.
Nothing humbles a man like being turned into a coat rack, I
mean, that is pretty humbling. You got to admit.
It's a pretty humbling experience.
I can't get over him being upset at design spoiling stories.
It is great. Design's the best.
Responded a literal monster.
The fundamental outrage. It was like, that's not, you don't know. Just no, what are you doing?
Design's the best character in the Cosmere, maybe.
That is true.
So good.
That is
He's
true.
so good. Yep.
Unironically, my fave.
Well, moving on to this next question. Questioner asks, like, is there a relationship between Cinderhearts and what happened to Amaram? And if so, what is it? Cinderhearts being the corrupted sun hearts that get embedded into the hearts, into the chests of the Cindered?
No, the Chard.
Is that what they're called? The Chard. Okay. Brandon. Yes, there is a relationship. It's just kind of built on some basic fundamental Cosmere principles. This power feeding a little bit on even your own sense of identity and connection and things like this as the power consumes it. And kind of starts to turn you into a spren a little bit, is what's happening there. Drawing it in. They're very similar mechanisms. It's not that they're related magically, like a lineage of magic sort of way, but on the same fundamental principle. And this is what lets the unmade kind of just take over a person, quickly consume them, and then move on. Which, that's kind of what happens. Amaram kind of just like turns into a big crystal monster.
Yep. It's another one of those interesting Cosmere choices Brandon made. Like, interesting.
Dragonarthus does the same thing. He consumes my sorrow, holds my sorrow, and consumes it.
You're a Daiji fanboy.
Dude, Dragonarthus is
a diehard Daiji.
Is he your... Are you to Dragonarthus what I am to Bottomishram?
No one is to Eddie's level like you are to Bottomishram.
Okay.
Do not undercut your love for her.
Okay.
I've always loved Mishram and Janat. I think they've always been cool.
Well, you can't have them. I have Mishram and Alex as Janat.
That's true.
Well,
I mostly have Janat by proxy, though. You
got her in the time skip, and then you didn't get to be with her.
Janat. Just saying. She's cool. I love her.
Cool. I don't really have anything to say on this one, though. I think it's interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of
anyway.
It's kind of interesting that the Unmade are just kind of feeding on your soul and your like memories and your sense of identity and your connection. So like there is a spiritual, it's a spiritual transformation, but it's also like a spiritual consumption going on. It seems like it's the soul that is the fuel for this transformation, which also makes me think a little bit about Dawn Shards from a mechanical perspective. But we don't need to open that can of worms here.
We don't. Alyx, why don't you finish us up for today?
All right, with a question from the lovely and wonderful Feather Rider.
Moving it up from the spoiler stream.
Wow.
Because Alyx was such a trooper going through these WoBs with us.
This is my reward for being tortured 2 episodes in a row.
Yes.
And I asked, did Renarin figure out on his own that Adolin had killed Sadeas? And Brandon attempts to be coy and says, yes, but partial Raffo. And I'm like, I don't care. You said yes. So that's answered my question. And I feel like that I got what I wanted out of that.
What does partial Raffo even mean there?
I assume he means he's not going to explain it, but it's fine because I know enough about Renarin to figure it out.
There's going to be an entire flashback chapter in Renarin's book that is him being a private eye and solving Sadeas.
I mean, that's possible.
That's
possible. I sure hope that's not an effective use of his flashbacks.
So the sort of impetus for this question comes from like a very early Oathbringer scene where I believe we're in Adolin's we're in Shallan's point of view. And it's Adolin is like in the scene talking about being given the charge to find Sadeas' murderer. I think it's actually once they found the first copycat murder, and Adolin is sort of like genuinely unsettled because he doesn't know who did this one, but he does know who killed Sadeas. And there's a couple little lines from Shallan where she's like, Renarin's kind of watching. She always had a sense that he knows a little bit more than he's letting on. And I always took this as a sign that Renarin at that point in the story, even though Sadeas has only been dead for a few days, like is already aware that Adolin's the murderer.
Or at least suspects, right? And maybe he's figuring out other stuff from there.
Yeah, like there's a line of like Renarin like turning and looking at Adolin during that discovery of the second body.
Yeah, if you read the scene, there's definitely a connection sort of between, I think even Pattern hums a little bit when like Adolin's talking about not knowing, and you almost get a sense that like Pattern and Renarin are both sort of aware that Adolin is not being fully truthful right now. The only sort of, I would say, like lingering question in response to this is sort of how he found out. Like the obvious thing would be like he saw it in a vision of like Adolin confessing, or maybe he saw it in advance before it happened that Adolin would kill Sadeas. I also do kind of like the idea that just like truth watchers are good at figuring out where things are true and where things aren't.
They see truth.
Like see Adolin's discomfort and be like, what's up with that? You know?
Or almost like it would be interesting if during that scene, what's happening with Renarin is he's seeing that Adolin's confusion about the body in the pool is genuine in a way that shows his previous reactions were not. Like on their own, Renarin couldn't detect that those were a lie, but he could see that this reaction to the body was more true and sort of like figure something out there. Like it's good. I love Renarin stuff.
Yeah. Going back to you saying
tidbits of Renarin info because he's the best and most interesting character in this series.
Yeah. Going back to you saying like, oh, maybe he saw it ahead of time in a vision. I have the picture in my head now of Renarin seeing the vision of Adolin killing Sadeas and like, yeah, nothing needs to change there. And just like going about his day.
Seems good actually.
This is fine.
Dad's gonna be Odium's champion. Oh no, Adolin's gonna kill Sadeas.
Oh
anyway,
unless Renarin saw dark Adolin, the standard Cosmere theory. But
Yeah, we know some of the like secret truths that Renarin pieces together during Oathbringer are actually just from the visions. Like finding the gemstone archive, I believe, is something he explicitly says came from a vision. But that was the Adolin stuff. It was never confirmed whether he knew in advance, but I definitely have always suspected that he did. And it's fun to have a confirmation. You can't raffo me, Brandon.
Partial
I got
raffo.
what I wanted here. Don't try to partial raffo me.
I would put my money that the partial raffo is because it was a vision that like helped him. So it wasn't like he didn't like put the evidence all together with no help. Like he had a vision that gave him a big clue.
And then he saw what Adolin was doing. Yeah, sure.
I definitely do think this is something that, whether it was a vision or it was like a Truthwatchery insight, that there was some sort of power involved in sussing that out.
Yeah.
Particularly, I think, because Renarin is like an autistic character who does not have an innate good sense for reading people.
Sure. So. Awesome. Well, we got through slightly more WoBs this time, and we are literally
page 15.
Out of 45, so we're doing great from these WoB
we're looking
episodes.
At 6 episodes.
Six episodes with that math.
See you in May for another one. But we'll probably stick an episode in between all these WoB episodes at some point. But at least we don't have to think about what we're going to record next. Easy. Joshua has to go. But we are going to head on over to Who's That Cosmere Character?
This character is from Roshar.
Menace. Tien.
Tom.
MRAIZE.
Hoid in drag on a horse.
It's time for Who's That Cosmere Character? Welcome to Who's That Cosmere Character, the game show. We send 5 clues in a character to WTCC at 17shard.com. I read each clue aloud, and after each clue, these guys have a chance to guess who's that Cosmere character. All right, this first one, these are actually both going to be from our priority queue because the regular ones Ben gave me, he gave me one that we already did. So I can't do that one. No. So you can put things in our priority queue if you're one of our heralds on Patreon for $10 a month. You get your name at the end of a video, which might be a thing you care about, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. You can screenshot the end of the video and show it to the person you are courting.
Yeah, they'll really appreciate that.
Like, look how important I am.
Yeah. So this first one is from Lady of Scars.
Hey.
We know Lady of Scars.
We do know Lady of Scars, and this is different than her other meta ones. That this one's different. So,
is this still a meta one though?
No. I would say no.
That's enough of an answer right there.
I would say no. I thought it was going to be, but
okay.
All right. Clue 1. Requisite Roshar clue. This character is not a Rosharan. Or sorry, not Rosharan.
Not Rosharan. Okay.
Eatil.
It is not Eatil.
Yeah, we're immediately gonna.
The non-Rosharans on Roshar.
Nice try. Nice try. We know you can't escape Roshar.
I'll say Steris. I won't fall for the bait.
Axendweth, I think is her name.
Not Axendweth.
It is her name.
That is her.
Amazing name.
Mm-hmm. I could have gone Gary the Ferrochemist, but I didn't.
Good old Gary. Do you want to guess Gary, Evgeni?
No, I guessed Yatil.
Oh, right. Yatil. There's only 3 of you now. I was like, I'm waiting for a 4th person.
We've lost our jofwu.
Clue 2. Unlike most characters in the Cosmere, this character's mother is named and alive.
Unbelievable.
Shade.
Okay. That's 2 things.
I feel like we have enough clues to uniquely identify this guy.
William Ann.
No, it's not William Ann.
It's a good one.
Well, it's not Sabruki, let me tell you that.
It's been a long time since I've read that.
I'm actually having trouble finding a guess. That says so much. Oh no.
A living mother.
Yeah.
Presumably in like the book or series where this character appears. And it's also
everyone has a
not-
living mother with a name at some point in their life.
Well, yeah.
Not on screen,
I
though.
mean,
But like an era, I would say like an era 1 character
Yeah, I would not
Yeah.
count like
would not like, oh, they're dead by era 2, you know?
Yeah, I wouldn't count that. Like the story
yeah,
they
yeah.
appear, yeah.
Is it Max?
It's not Max. I like that.
No.
Axilium.
I forgot that was canonical.
There you go.
I tried very hard to forget that was canonical.
Steris lives.
I will choose the better child and guess Tindwell.
Ooh, no, it's not
Ooh.
Baby Tyndall. Clue 3. Rarely is this character without company, but in parentheses, though they do tend to get nervous around strangers.
Fascinating.
You are not a
clue.
human.
Ugh, I'm gonna have to
Rarely
put all
is
these
this
on
character
screen, Lady of
without
Scars.
company, but they do. Yeah, this is never gonna fit on screen.
I know.
But they do get nervous around strangers.
Yes.
Renarin.
Not Renarin.
Not Rasharin.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Oh, no.
Rip.
Wasted it.
You fell into the Rashard trap.
I did.
Also, Effie's not alive.
Oh, that's true. I just had named mother in my head.
I mean, you had one of them, the
Yep.
named mother.
Two things is just hard to keep in mind.
These clues are too long.
They're too
Yeah.
long. They're too long and complicated for our P brains.
Where are the mothers?
I know. This is tough. There really aren't that many named moms who are alive in the Cosmere.
Right?
Especially off Roshar. We have a few
Yeah.
on Roshar, but not on
Yeah.
Roshar.
Nervous around strangers, was it?
They do tend to get nervous around strangers.
Okay.
Yes, correct.
Alive.
No, it's not going to work.
Mother's alive.
Yeah.
I was gonna do Nightblood, but Shasharad's dead, isn't she?
Yeah. Shashar is very dead.
Good guess though.
I'm buzzed in. You can't beat me.
Okay.
I'm still
I
thinking.
mean, David's
so.
not here to steal it, so.
a Dian.
No, it's not them.
What? Well, I'm done. I don't know, man.
Honestly, it definitely took me a minute to figure out the Ionic pronunciation. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Adain.
I don't know.
That's true.
That's my least favorite part of that work, going back to Cell and Elantris things.
Look, he gets nervous around strangers. His mother Deora is still alive,
That's true.
and he's not
That's true.
Rasharan.
That's pretty good, but you're wrong.
Yeah, I'm like, if it's an Elantris character, I'm just screwed. So I have to think of other guesses because I don't know any of those.
He's got siblings. I can work my way through the entire family there.
Wow, this should not be this difficult.
That's why Brandon kills all the moms, because it's really difficult
It's just
to
too
guess when
hard to
they're
keep
alive.
track of.
It's
You
too
know,
hard to have moms.
Yeah.
I don't know if this fits at all, but since I was thinking of Elantris character, the girl whose code names are stupid.
Chaos.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Not shy at all. She swears at people in Jindo.
It's true. Clue 4. This will be super helpful, guys.
Great.
In the first scene we meet them, this character is visibly upset.
Fantastic. I made a commitment and I'll stick to it and guess Dayorn.
Nope.
I'm so mad that it's not Rosharan, so I can't make a guess of the sibling.
There are so many spren that I had to discard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a moment in which I was going to start guessing Sions, and I'm like, nope, they're. If you can claim that Aeona is their mother, she's also dead. So
True.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Mm-hmm. It's wild to me that I just can't think of any Mistborn Era 1 characters that have named alive moms. Wow. I'm scouring my brain.
I don't think it's going to be an Era 1 character.
I don't feel like we've got most of the Era 2 characters.
Okay. I'm pretty sure her name starts with a T. It's like Torina or Torena. It's like Shuden's girlfriend.
No, it's
in
not
Alyx.
Torina.
Okay.
Ooh.
But I do think that is correct. How about I reread the clues again?
Yeah, reread the clues.
So clue 1, requisite Roshar clue. This character is not Rosharan.
Mm-hmm.
Clue 2, unlike most characters in the Cosmere, this character's mother is named and alive. Clue 3, rarely is this character without company, though they do tend to get nervous around strangers. And clue 4, in the scene we first meet them, this character is visibly upset.
When was this sent?
Oh,
Is this Charlie?
I'll say last September. How about that?
Okay.
I'll tell you this time.
Is this Charlie?
It's not Charlie.
Because I remember if Charlie has a named mom, but some of the
think she does.
No,
Like the Duchess.
I don't think he has a named dad either. Actually,
It's a fairy tale. They're not going to be named. Come on.
yeah. No, I asked because there was a part of me who wanted to guess DL.
Oh, okay. Ooh, real deep cuts from the interlude.
Oh no. Things I haven't read yet.
With like deep like semantic. What does it mean to be from Roshar?
Wow. No.
Oof.
Rejected. Clue 5.
Right.
I'm so sorry. The first letters of each of the previous clues spell out this character's name.
Oh, I can't even conceptualize this.
So wait. Now we should actually try to remember the phrasing. Was it obligatory Roshar clue?
That is not correct, Alyx. That is not.
No, you can't help, Eric.
Well, this is hard. I think I can get you that.
I will say the first one was requisite. Yes.
Requisite? Okay.
Yeah, it was R.
R.
And then I fully do not remember anything.
The second one was the one about. Oh.
Not rarely. The third one was rarely are they without company.
So we have an R blank R.
This is very fun because for the audience, they already know.
No, the audience can see on screen.
The audience is like, oh my God, guys. But it's like they don't see these on screen. They're just going off memory. You like how I wanted to restate all the clues for you? Nice.
Yeah. Okay, shut up.
I'm going
what was the second one about? Oh, it was the mother, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's true.
It's like unlike most people in the Cosmere. But did it start with
R-U-R?
There's no R-U-R character, surely.
Are there like the only RU character I can think of is Ruin, whose mother is definitely not alive.
Maybe his mother's a vessel. You don't know.
I'm like Rowan.
But like we don't know that, so like
yeah, that's true.
Doesn't count.
This
also Rua, but that's 3 letters.
Yeah.
True, it's 3 letters.
Yeah. And also, who is even Rua's mom?
Is Rosharan.
Yeah, can you remember that fourth clue?
Yeah.
I remember that clue?
No.
Third one was that they're nervous around other people.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It's like they're often with company, but they're
Wasn't that the second?
Oh.
Yeah, no, the third one was rarely are they without company.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But they are.
We think number 2 is an unlike
yes.
many characters in the Cosmere. Was
Anything.
the third one actually a rarely? Is it an R?
Yes.
Okay.
Wait, does clue 5 explicitly say the previous 4? So are we looking at a 4 character or a 5 character name?
The first letters of each of the previous clues spell out this character's name.
Four letter character name.
Letter,
Correct.
yeah. like Aona, Sky. None of those start with R's.
No, not at all.
The fact that we've basically got the name spelled and still can't get it is
No, this is
wild.
This is fun. This is great.
Do you want to give your pain
No.
to Odium?
No.
What was the fourth clue?
See, I can't read it directly, That's
No.
the
So
tricky
what was
part.
it about?
It was about them being visibly upset. How about that?
The first time.
Yes. It was a T.
So
R-U-R-T?
No.
So we must be wrong.
Yeah.
It's not a T on that last one.
Wait, maybe it's not like a when we first see the character. It was in this character's introduction.
Is there like a Ruri? R-U-R-I?
There is a Rory. It's Alejandre's daughter.
Oh, I win. Wow.
I do think it was a bit of a team effort on the last one, for sure.
I got there first. I said it.
Come on, you gotta share that point. Group effort. We collectively defeated Mare's question.
We got
only took 3 of us.
eventually. Good job, guys. Well done.
All right, Mare. All right.
I hate it when they have good submissions.
Yeah. That was kind of fun. How well do you actually remember the phrasing of the clues? We'll probably have to cut out
no, just keep it raw.
Yeah, just make them torture the viewers.
It's very game changer esque.
It is really. So this is doubly funny for me because right now what I'm watching in my spare time is a playthrough through like an escape room game, and literally just earlier today I watched through a segment where the room was like 5 levels, and in each level you had to find a word that would take you to the next level. And on the final level, the way to escape was, do you remember the previous words?
Yeah, there you go.
I like it because probably most people can see the Rory and be like, who's that? So I guess I'll go to the Coppermine and check. Which, to be fair, I also did not remember. Alejandre's daughter's name. Not even a little bit.
Alejandre's daughter's name.
I remember.
I've read Lost Metal twice. I have not internalized anything that happens in that book because
I think someone is coming back for cuddle session number 3.
Well, do you guys want to have some more fun?
Some more fun.
Yeah.
Cool. Great. So this next one's by Jester Lavore, who made these overlays. And
hey, we love it. Also, Delicious Bow is now visible for our video viewers.
Oh, I love the kitty bow ties. We're big fans of kitty bow. So this one is going to be super fun. So clue 1. This character's profession is listed on the Coppermind as thief.
Oh no. You can't trust the Coppermind.
That's so vague. That's such a weird way to phrase that. Why?
Shy.
It's not shy.
Reen.
Ooh, it's not Reen. I like that. That's good.
Ooh, spicy. Gox's uncle.
It's not Gox's uncle. Clue 2. This character's Coppermind gallery contains 33 total images as of this writing.
What? 30?
That's main character material.
That's like a decent number.
It is a decent number.
My beloved Kelsier.
It's not Kelsier. I think
Kelsier has
a
way
lot
more than
30.
Yeah.
Vin also way more.
This is good. I like this.
33. That's.
See, I'm not on the cover. I don't know how many images anybody got.
I did think that this would be great to torture you with. And just one last one for you, Alyx.
One final bit of torture before I go.
That's so many images.
But it's not that many images.
Yeah, it's not that many images.
Shalash?
Not Shalash.
I'm like playing the meta of which characters would we even put we wouldn't put a profession on a herald. That's silly.
Profession herald. Abilities herald.
Thief, comma herald.
I'll go with the low-hanging fruit of left, but
it is left.
I feel like
Congrats.
She has more.
It is
wow.
left.
Yeah,
it is left.
Oh, we gotta go
good.
fix that page.
I would have figured she had more art.
Yeah.
No, she doesn't have that much.
Clue 3 is this character's Coppermine page includes a hyperlink for the Stormfather page.
Okay, that's
Okay. All right.
Whose doesn't?
right.
Clue 4 is this character's Coppermine page needs to be updated with new information from Rhythm of War. It's got a little update thing. And clue 5, which is helpful. The quote for this character's Coppermine page is, someone has to care. Too few people care these days.
Yeah, okay.
I like that.
So Jester is a bit of a meta one. I tried to make the clues interesting, but also give you something concrete about the character. It's
a
like,
little bit of a
like
call
that.
to action to help us update the Coppermine.
Yeah.
You too can update the Coppermine without even an
When
account.
is this from?
This is from May 2023. So it's been a while.
Great.
Yeah.
Is the tag still on Lift's page though? Does it still
I
need
checked.
updates?
Yes.
There we go.
The instructions were about whether that tag was still there. So I needed to check.
Gotcha.
That's fun. That's
very good. Like the Stormfather one is like that. The Stormfather thought that cultivation or like the Night Watcher went too far or whatever, right? So it's like that is kind of a clue. All right. Hope you enjoyed this episode. You can find us on 17chart.com for our news, discussion, theories, and fun that you could ever want. We have a Discord server that has like tons of people. It's like
more than 17,000.
Yes, that's
We've
true.
broken 17K.
Wow.
Ooh.
And you can support our Patreon for as little as $1. We make cool art, and you can vote on what art you want. And that doesn't cost $10 a month. That costs $1 a month.
Yep.
And you can check out our recent After Dark stream, which we mostly just don't put on YouTube because they're swearing and stuff. So that's for patrons, but it's very cheap, and you can look at all our outtakes. So go check those out.
Spicy Cosmere details in the latest one too. You'll have to subscribe to see what those are if you want.
We spilled some beta beans.
We spilled some tea in the latest one.
Let's give them a little tease. That is true. We did tell some stories. Yes. Check it out. Subscribe. See you next time.
I heard that when you say the word subscribe in a YouTube video, it makes the subscribe button like do a little animation. And I've seen the animation.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Subscribe.
I don't know if it's the first. Hey, I don't know if it's the first time you say the word, or if it's every time, or whatever the thing is. But I have seen when I watch a video, like I have seen like an animation around the subscribe button play at like a random point.
So I think what we need to do to test this is I'll count down and we'll all say subscribe at the same time. Okay. I think that'll be good.
Surely, the transcription service will surely pick it up.
Love that.
Yes. 3, 2, 1. Subscribe. God, awful.
Wonderful. All right.
See you next time.
I think we've done enough.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.